Hello and welcome back to AP Psychology. I'm Miss Lee. We are still in Unit 7, and in this video we'll be talking about experiencing emotion. We're going to be adding on to our comparison and contrasting of the major theories of emotion and digging a little bit deeper regarding what it's like to actually experience emotion. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and grab your notes and let's get started. So our primary goal here is to talk about how we actually experience emotions. And there are two ways, unconsciously and consciously. Unconsciously, we have a very fast response system that relies on deep brain circuitry that operates automatically. We don't have to do anything about it. We don't have to think about it. It acts as an early defense that produces emotions that help us get out of dangerous situations. It's our protector. Consciously, our emotions are generated at a slower rate. Yet this system delivers a more complete informational picture to the consciousness. It relies heavily on the cerebral cortex. No surprise there. So let's talk about the biological structures that are involved in processing emotions. Not surprisingly, we have the limbic system. This is our old kind of primitive brain system. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the amygdala and the reticular formation. So when you think about the amygdala, what types of emotions would be processed there? It's going to be something that's going to arouse a high level of anger or a high level of fear. And the amygdala is consciously alert for threats. That's pretty much its job. The reticular formation works both with the thalamus and the amygdala to monitor that incoming info. And if a threat is detected, it's the part of the brain that's going to set the responses in motion and arouse the body into action. Then we have the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex interprets the events and associates them with memories and feelings. It gives meaning to what is happening in the body. It gives meaning to what is happening outside in the environment. And again, we talked about this a little bit in our last video. The right side of the cerebral cortex, that right hemisphere, specializes in more negative emotion, and the left specializes in more positive emotion. Of course, we have the autonomic nervous system. That shouldn't come as any surprise due to the fight or flight response that we have. The sympathetic nervous system becomes active when one is startled or experiences some type of unpleasant emotion like anger. The parasympathetic nervous system dominates in pleasant emotions and also bringing back down those unpleasant emotions from the sympathetic response. Of course, we've also got hormones that are involved in processing emotions. Serotonin is going to specialize in feelings of depression or the opposite. Epinephrine is produced when we are in a state of fear, and norepinephrine is more abundant when we're experiencing anger. Carol Izard is another theorist that proposed that we have 10 basic emotions: joy, interest and excitement, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, fear, shame, and guilt. And in this list are the emotions that we talked about in our last video that stated that we are very good at recognizing 7 of these. Other theorists have proposed that we also have additional emotions of love and pride. However, Izard maintains that these are commonly felt combinations of the 10 basic emotions. So they're not really true, pure emotions as much as they are a mixture of those basic emotions. Adding to this theory is White's proposal that our emotions have 2 dimensions, valence and arousal. Valence being either good or bad, and arousal being either excited or not excited. So you can fall somewhere on this continuum of the 2 different dimensions of valence and arousal. So you can have a positive feeling and be very excited. You can have a positive feeling and not be very excited. You can have a bad feeling and be excited, or a bad feeling and not excited, and all that's in between. So let's talk about the specific emotions that are listed on the slide that we just saw. So when you're talking about fear, fear is learned through conditioning and observation. More and more, we're basically kind of landing on that conclusion. Conditioning is associating emotions with specific situations. When we come into the world, we don't have these associations, so there isn't a fear necessarily. Observation is watching other people display the fear in response to certain events or surroundings. And so it's that social learning theory that we talked about earlier. However, there is an element of biology to our fear. We are biologically predisposed to learn to fear particular items because the fear response helps us to survive. Here comes the amygdala back into the picture. The amygdala's key role in associating emotions with specific situations becomes very evident here. If damaged, emotion is not associated with the situation, so the fear response is diminished. Things that we really should be scared of, we are not fearful of if there is damage to the amygdala. So let's talk about anger. What makes us angry? Well, many different factors, anything from misdeeds of loved ones to aches and pains. So variety of things that can produce anger is as wide as there are things that can produce any emotion. Is anger good or bad? Well, yes, both. Chronic hostility is linked to heart disease. Controlled expression of anger, however, can be good, and it's better than pent-up anger or irrational anger. But notice I said controlled anger. Controlled expression. It can lead a person to talk over the offense rather than ignore it or stew about it. For a long time, there has been this theory that if you release the anger, if you release the aggressive energy, that it's going to help you in some way. This is known as the Catharsis Hypothesis, that releasing aggressive energy relieves aggressive urges. Research has shown that expressing anger can be temporarily calming, so like right there in the minute, but it usually doesn't clear the feelings of rage. And we have to be careful about how much rage is expressed and how often. Expression of anger can actually lead to more hostility and cruelty due to the reinforcement, the things that we're getting back because of that. That temporary calming can be reinforcing. And so that can lead expression of anger, this maladaptive expression of anger, to become a habitual behavior, a habit. So how should we deal with anger? Waiting until the physical arousal calms down. So waiting for the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in and kind of calm things back down. And by expressing grievances in a manner that promotes reconciliation. All right, let's talk about happiness. People who are happy perceive the world as safer. They make decisions more easily and are more cooperative and live happier, more satisfied lives. Research shows that. We know that. And there is this thing called the feel-good, do-good phenomenon. People tend to be helpful to others when they are in a good mood. So I want you to watch the video and see, does this video demonstrate the feel good, do good phenomenon?
And I don't know, is this the part where you let go? Is this the part where you find out and then...
When it's people who do the right thing, they call it being responsible. When it's an insurance company, they call it Liberty Mutual.
So, what do you think? Does this video demonstrate the feel-good, do-good phenomenon? The answer is sort of, kind of. It really is more demonstrating altruistic behavior, doing for others. Now, if she had just come away, this woman that started off the whole thing, if she had come away from a meeting like totally successful and a mic drop moment, and then she started doing the good deeds, that would be more of a feel-good, do-good phenomenon demonstration. Daily events generally only cause moods to be altered for that day. Even significant bad or negative events seldom destroy happiness permanently. It tends to be kind of an element of our personality. Another factor to be familiar with is the adaption level phenomenon. This is our tendency to judge various stimuli as relative to those we have previously experienced. We adjust our neutral levels. So we adjust our neutral levels and we kind of adjust the thermostat, so to speak, when we notice and then react to variations up or down from these levels. So let's say you won the lottery tomorrow. According to this principle, you would have a surge of happiness initially, but then you would adapt to the new lifestyle and come to consider it as your new normal and basically require something even better to give another surge of happiness. So it kind of raises the bar, so to speak. So I want you to be looking very carefully. If you've not seen this movie or you haven't seen it for a while, at about the 1 minute marker, this is what I'm talking about, okay? Here we go.
You can clap now. No, please. You can thank me outside in the sun when you wish us out.
So, how does it work?
You're kidding, right? The whole song was the instructions. Obviously, you can't dance and listen at the same time. So here's the basics. Step 1, rub the lamp. Step 2, say what you want. Step 3, there is no step 3. See, it's that easy. You get 3 wishes. They must begin with rubbing the lamp and saying, I wish. Got it?
Think so?
A couple other rules. You can't wish for more wishes. 3 is enough. Now, I can't make anybody love anybody or bring anybody back from the dead. Feel free to interrupt me anytime you don't understand. I'm kidding. Don't ever interrupt me, no matter what. Now, I usually don't have to go through all of this because by the time the guy gets to me, he pretty much knows what he wants, and it generally has to do with Do me a favor, do not drink from that cup. I promise you there's not enough money and power on earth for you to be satisfied. Good?
And that is a good demonstration of the adaptation level phenomenon, because you will just continue to need larger and larger things in order to produce that surge of happiness. And that is it for experiencing emotion. In our next video, we'll be talking about stress and coping. I can't wait to see you then. Bye for now.